Hello and welcome to another episode of the Visual VC podcast, where we bring conversation with the experts in business, investing, and entrepreneurship. I'm Daniel Zaturansky, your host, and today we'll be discussing the importance of strong leadership for growth of startups, its impact on your team, and how you as a founder can develop these skills while managing other pressing tasks that arise during the building of your startup. I'm thrilled to have Kim Zoller, a CEO and founder of ID360, and has over 2 decades global track record of building highly customized leadership training programs. Kim is a highly sought after speaker, coach, and a consultant. Kim has been featured on a TEDx stage as well as in Forbes, the Wall Street Journal, CNBC, and Fox Business News. Hello, Kim. How are you?
Hello. It's great to see you.
Tell me a bit about yourself and your background.
So ID360 started. We've been in business about 30 years, and really, Daniel, what I saw, which is so pertinent to your audience today, is I saw people who had huge skills, had huge value, and didn't know how to reflect that in their behavior. They didn't know how to really position themselves in a way where people understood their value, which, if you think about it, everyone's trying to do that, and every business is trying to do that. And I realized that for most people, this was a matter of building skills. It is not inherent in us to have leadership skills, to know how to say, look, this is how good I am at what I do, and then have other people see it, very quickly so that they actually get the opportunity. So that was my background. It was a staffing background. And then I started this business because I saw this need, and here we are.
Brilliant. So, I can agree with you that founders and business people, I think they have all the skills needed, and eventually you can really improve yourself by learning the right leadership skills. So, in your opinion, how important is strong leadership for the growth of a startup?
It's huge. I mean, it's interesting. Right now, we work with many startups around the world, and I will tell you what it comes down to is that the CEO, founder, their ability to not only pick a leadership team that is strong, but to lead that leadership team is really, truly critical to success. I can tell you that there are many founders who we work with in startups who are brilliant. That's why their business is up and running, and they're getting funding, and they picked a team. And then what happens is they don't know how to lead the team, and their baby is their business, and there is a complete disconnect for them in really growing their business as quickly as they could if they realized that some of the skills that they needed to lead to lead their team would help them tremendously. So, I when I think about a lot of founders who really, they're like, well, we're really good at what we do. And yes, they are. They're good at what they do. That's why they're in business. They may not be so good at being a leader. And when they realize that, and they're humble enough to say, something is missing, and I could actually learn these skills and then make this really what it could be, that is really a game changer for founders.
Give an example of the founders you work with, and then what the impact on their team was after they developed their leadership skills.
Okay. It's a great question. And I'd like to start it with when they don't have the skills and what happens when they build the skills. So when they don't have the skills, what happens is they're running around constantly putting out fires, getting everyone to put out fires. It's very reactive, and the people who are working with them they're doing that. They're doing their jobs, right? They're doing well because most of the founders that I know, the leaders that they hire are actually really strong and have been in other startups before, and they've taken their teams to a new level. So the leaders themselves are strong. It's the founder, when they're reacting and they're pushing things to their leaders who are then reacting, it creates chaos. It's not that things aren't getting done. It's just that it creates a level of chaos. And when these leaders say, let's get together and basically harmonize, like let's get together and figure out what to do together, the founder doesn't want to do that because they do not believe that it is important enough, because everyone just needs to keep doing what they need to do in order to make money. So the shift, where the shift is, Daniel, is that all of a sudden something happens. Either they're pushed into it by their board or they're pushed into it by the leaders, and they say, oh, you know what? Maybe I need to develop a different skill. So they take feedback. They start to realize, like, wait a minute, if I slow down for just 1 minute to get my team functioning, like I look at it like a well-oiled machine, like an orchestra, another example, where they're all playing together and they're strategizing together and they're slowing down so that they can strategize. What I have seen is it is like night and day. Retention wise, you've got leaders who are totally excited to be there. You've got people who are more engaged. You've got people who are working so much stronger and harder because they're like, oh, we are part of a team going towards a goal together. So it's truly game changing to go from, I'm really smart, I'm very good at what I do, that's why I founded this company, to, oh yeah, there's another skill set that actually is going to help me take this company to a different level.
Great. Listen, as a founder, I have no time to go and learn new skills, but I really want to have my startup succeeding. And so give me a few steps before I'm going to the big courses or anything, like first steps that I can take that actually going to improve my skills and really going to do some, like, move the needle at the beginning, at least before I go to the full-on blown course or anything that kind of I can learn for that.
Yeah, you know what? I think the first step is that when you have your vision, you share your vision. The second thing is that if you hire people underneath you, you have to utilize them. And what does that mean? It means sitting in a room and figuring out how best that leadership team is going to work together and how they can actually help you, and then let go. And I mean, that in itself is enormous. You yourself, let's say, and you're absolutely right. Like, you may not have the time to develop certain skills. There are certain skills, though, that are so critically important. That is listening, taking feedback, giving feedback, being courageous enough to give feedback, to be accountable not only to yourself, but to your team, and have them accountable to each other is really critically important. So what does that mean? It means that you're not really necessarily going to some big course. It means that you're actually taking the time to listen to the people who are really good that you've hired and letting them drive the ship to a certain degree with you overseeing the ship. And I think that in itself is huge leadership. And you don't need a course for that. You just need to slow down enough to trust the people who work for you and have good communication between all of you. Did that answer your question?
It's so true. It's so true, Kim, because from my experience running Powtoon, when we ask our employees or listen to them, even their ideas, maybe as crazy that their ideas can be, at least we gave them to speak out. That on itself, first of all, creating openness within a team. And secondly, they're more open to your ideas. So you're so right.
Yes.
Be open, listen, be part of a team. Don't think you're alone in there. Don't think you know everything, right?
Right. That's key. I just want to say that what you just said is absolutely key. You might know what you know. And the thing that I see is that the people who I deal with are brilliant, right? And in order to have an idea, start a company, have it grow, that takes brilliance. It takes being courageous. It's just that when that person thinks that they know everything, it's such a shortcoming, and I just see it time and time again. And ultimately, there are two things that happen. One is, a company sells out and the leader's out, so that's option one, and it happens quickly, and that's great. The second thing that can happen is that they just go downhill because they're not trusting their team. And the third thing that happens is if they have a board, the board says, we don't think you are strong enough to lead. We're going to take you out of your position as a CEO. We're going to put someone else there, and then you're just going to sit on the board. So I think that ultimately a leader of a company, a CEO of a company, a founder needs to decide, where do I want to sit? And am I, exactly going back to what you said, am I humble enough to realize that although I'm smart, I might not be totally smart in these areas. And if I'm smart enough to hire a good team, then I'm actually going to listen to them.
Yeah. So you touch now with the board. So what the most common leadership skills VCs are looking for in founders? If I'm an investor and I'm having people as founders coming in, and what should I look into them? What kind of skills of leadership specifically?
I think that ultimately, obviously, you're looking at the product, you're looking at their strategy around it. I think that and you can look at all of there's huge research about this, about what VCs are looking for other than the actual product or the service or whatever they're investing in, and that truly is the leadership. It's the leadership of how a person is going to be able to lead a team, manage a team, so that they get their investment out of what they're putting in. And so what does that look like? It looks like being able to communicate really well. It means that, again, it goes full circle to what we're talking about. It goes to building a good team, like hiring the right people, and then listening to them, and then getting them, you be the conductor of that orchestra, and having the skills to be able to do that. And you could just see it. You could see it through all the data that's published. You can also, I can tell you from my experience that with the VCs that I work with, that is what they're looking for.
So they're looking for people that can actually build a team around them, humble people that open, they're listening and to everybody, and probably with let's say low ego.
Well, everyone, it's interesting. Here's the thing. Anyone who's a founder has a pretty high ego. And ego is good. Ego is amazing, right? Ego is what builds companies. It's being able to keep your ego in check.
Yeah.
And really questioning yourself. Like, Daniel, there are not VCs, there are founders that I work with who they say, of course I am humble, of course I keep it in check. But when I get into the inside and work with their teams, That's not what's happening. And what ends up happening is that you've got leaders who then question every day, do I want to be here? Like, they love what they're doing. They might believe in the company. I always say about this for any leader, and especially for founders, do people work in spite of you, or do they work because of you? And if you can get your people, if you can get yourself to a place where people are working because of you, they share your vision, your excitement, and you are able to know where you need the help, then that's glory, right? That's the celebration. The other is you might do really well for a period of time. And unless your company, whether you're trying to sell or go IP or whatever you're trying to do, does that quickly, you end up burning out because the people don't want to stay. So you end up having a leadership team that is constantly turning over, which ultimately helps nobody.
Absolutely love it. Keep your ego in check, be humble, and the way that if people love you and they're going to come to your company, work for you because of you, not because of the product or anything else. Obviously, the product is really important, but I think the leadership is number one.
Yes.
So you talk about resources. Can you recommend one or two books that founders must read?
Yeah, this is an old book, but I love it. I still love it. It's Marshall Goldsmith, What Got You Here Won't Get You There, I think is a really superb book. And it's just even the title, if you think about it, it's so true. But Marshall Goldsmith is absolutely incredible. From a communication standpoint and understanding how people communicate, I think that you can always go back to books like StrengthsFinder, Tom Rath. I mean, these are simple books, but really are, they're fairly game changing from a communication standpoint and a people standpoint, understanding. And then, of course, I have people that I read everything they put out, and whether it's John Maxwell, Tony Robbins, there's so many. And I think that you can actually, if you're aware enough, you could pick up snippets from these people, from so many really great business leaders who talk about the other side of the coin of here's your strategy, and then here's your people strategy and your mindset and how you go into things. That anything like that is extremely helpful to a founder. And I think that ultimately, Daniel, I think it's all about a growth mindset. I really do. I think that what I see is that when someone has a growth mindset and they are able to know that they're not perfect, that actually perfection is an excuse, that it's not a good quality. There is no such thing as perfect. So if we cannot have perfect, then we're not going to do anything. So it's really an excuse for mediocrity. And I think when we realize that, and we look at some of these resources, and then we look at building a growth mindset, that's huge leadership in itself.
So true. So true. I mean, the more I learn, I just realize how much I don't know. So that's right. That's such a good thing. I mean, to learn anyhow, but specifically learning about new skills, specifically what we're talking about leadership, you always discover new things, and that for myself is amazing because people are changing, times are changing, and we need to adjust to the new times.
Yeah. Yes.
So let me ask you another question about alignment. It's happened to me a lot in the past. And how can a founder effectively communicate their vision and goals to their teams and ensure everybody is aligned and working towards the same objectives? Because we know that sometimes people get the goal differently from others, and that's create a problem.
Yeah, 100%. It's so much about constant communication. Okay, so I'll just go back to what the problem that we're solving. The real problem that we're solving when you talk about alignment is that leaders or founders feel like they've shared their vision, now everyone should know it. But that is not what happens. It's especially when you're building, when you're building a company, when you're building a culture within a company, it's constant communication. So what does that look like? It means that meetings, daily outcomes, weekly outcomes, monthly outcomes should be built around, is everything we're doing going towards our vision, and actually discussing it, and actually it's out there talking about it all day, every day. I look at what I do, and I look at what I do with our clients, and that is anyone can be busy. And when you don't have the vision and the outcome of that you're looking for, then everyone's just busy and they're just doing their thing. And then they're busy, so they're working hard. But is everything that they're doing, is it tying towards the outcome? Is it then tying towards the vision? And if we don't keep that in check, then you've got a bunch of people on a payroll who are just busy. And so it is, to me, it is just especially at the beginning, it's communicating it all the time. It's being out there communicating it. It's understanding that as you onboard everyone, that is a major part of your onboarding, no matter how small their position is. And it's communicating it all. You can never over communicate a vision and what it looks like and what behaviors and activities go towards it and which don't.
So in our time and age, communication is scattered via different platforms. What would be the best communication channel that you recommend or you saw successful for founders to align with their teams?
I think video personally is the best thing to do. I think with the help of AI and different programs like yours and others, I really think that video, like little short snippet videos of, hey guys, this is what this week looks like. This is what this month looks like. Hey, don't forget our vision. Hey, don't forget this. I think little reminders of a face, a voice, and sharing is like on either an internal intranet, on putting it out there on your own channel, whatever it is. I ongoing little snippets of video, I think, are the best form of communication to get a message across. Short, sweet, and simple.
Beautiful. So don't save on videos, don't save on time. Communicate and repeat in any way you possible so people continue to remember, continue to be aligned. And obviously people are leaving the company, so you need all the time to repeat yourself, even though you think
exactly
you said everything in the beginning of the year or in the beginning of the quarter. Some people are not anymore in your company, so you need to onboard the new employees. So yeah, that's great.
Right. And there might be employees, like you might have a manager or a leader who all they're doing is trying to get someone to do their job, right? They're not focused on, oh yeah, this ties into the vision. So the more you as a leader can say, this is how we do it. This is it. Like this, tying this together so that people understand that what they do on a daily basis ties to this is critical.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about yourself or about your consultancy. In a small startup, you have not everybody is leader, right? I mean, you have the founding team that mostly doing a lot of work. Everybody is busy. What would you help if a client come to you, a founder comes to you and say, like, listen, we are 15 people, we're growing, and I have a great leadership team, but I want to give them more resources to be excellent, because and tomorrow we're gonna get some funding and we need to grow the team 3x, 4x in a matter of a year. So what would you do? What would you recommend, and how people can come and in touch and get in touch with you?
Well, I would start with this. The smaller the team, I would start by creating a system of accountability where you're each other's stakeholders. Mm-hmm. And that means that once a month you get together and you just talk about what you're doing that each person, what you're doing that's good, what you're doing that could be better, what your goals are, how it ties to the vision. From a behavior standpoint, what ends up happening is people focus. In a startup, you've got those 15 people. They're so focused on the product and the work. They're not focused on how they're treating each other, what they're doing to each other, how they're communicating, and how they're strategizing from a people perspective. And I'll tell you something that I notice is that those are the things that if we let them get behind. If we don't keep up with them, then they will bite us. And so it's like, again, I look at it like not that there are only two sides of a coin, but it is like a little bit of a teeter-totter. How do I manage the strategy and what I'm doing with my work every day, and how do I manage this other side? So that's where I would start. I also highly recommend, and this is a lot of our clients, highly recommend, if people don't have the skills to lead, you start giving them the skills. So whether it's you are internally picking a subject and working on it together, or like feedback. And what is feedback? What is feed forward? How do we coach someone? How do I communicate? How do I understand that some people, like yesterday, I was talking to a leader in a startup who is dealing with, two main employees, but one is not taking the ball and running with it, and one is completely executing. Well, all that comes down to is that these are two people with very different styles of work and communication. And as soon as the leader understands that and can figure out how to coach that, each of those people individually, then it all comes together. So giving people those skills so that the money comes in, and then all of a sudden they've got to manage all these people, and giving them the skills to do that before it happens, I think is a huge sign of big leadership.
So right. So it's absolutely important, guys, to get leadership skills for your team, for yourself, before your round A, even before your seed round. But if you're already there, just get your skills, because it's very important. It's an essential to build your startup. So Kim, I mean, you're so amazing. It's so much good information you gave us. Let me ask you, this will be coming to the end. I'd like to ask you a question. Give me a fun fact about yourself, and can you recommend us any podcast or, other books that, not necessarily leadership books, that you recommend the audience listen, or anything to listen or read?
Yeah. Okay. So fun fact. Okay. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Fun fact about myself is that in college, I started teaching aerobics as my job. And I still today teach spinning. I think that's a fun fact. Whoa. Because I love that. So I teach a couple of times a week, and so I really believe healthy body, healthy mind, and so that's a fun fact. Let's see, podcasts. Oh my gosh, I listen to so many. I should look on my phone right now, Daniel, and tell you the things that come up for me immediately are. I listen to Lewis Howes. I love him. I listen to, why do I love him? Because I think that he has really great guests. I think that the guests he has are informative. They help our mind. They help our body. They give us ideas. They give us ideas of how to grow. So the people who he interviews are people who I love, because I believe truly that I call it something, when I have free time, like I'm getting ready or I'm driving, I call it net time, no extra time. So I want to take that time and I want to fill it with something that's going to help me and help other people. How's it going to serve? How's it going to, if something helps me, it serves other people. So I will listen to, I love, like Lewis Howes says, people like Joe Dispenza or Bruce Lipton. It's all about the mind. There's, and how to create being a mindful leader. I think that there are people out there who do that. Like Bruce Lipton is one. I love Joe Dispenza, I mentioned. There's a woman named Shannon Harvey who did a documentary on how mindfulness and the research on mindfulness and how we live our lives and how we are as leaders. She has a great podcast. She has scientists on there. And again, it's all about the brain. And I feel like we're one big experiment on how to be better leaders within ourselves and better leaders for other people. And so anything that does that, I'm game.
Wow, so much to explore. That's my next thing. I'm going to go explore those podcasts. And we're coming to our end. And there you have it. Valuable insights and advice from Kim Zoller. I hope you found this interview informative and helpful in your own journey to startup success. Remember to keep watching for more episodes of the series and subscribe to the channel for more valuable tips and how to build, grow, and raise funding for a startup. A big thank you to Kim Zoller for taking the time to share her knowledge with us. And Kim, how people can approach you or reach out?
They can find us. We can give you all of our channels. They can first of all, they can email me at Kim Zoller, KimZoller at ID360inc.com. They can go to our website, which is ID360inc.com. And we're on everything. We're on LinkedIn. Perfect. And all the places. So thank you so much.
And until next time, keep working hard. And remember, it's not always about the destination. It's about the journey. Thank you for watching.